Hi, I'm your host, Erica Polsinelli, and welcome to Evolve by Erica, the podcast, where we talk all things spirituality, ascension, health, wellness, and beyond. I'm so excited that you are here. Come on in. Hello, guys. I am so excited for this conversation with Daniella Rabbani. She is a podcast sister. So we are both part of Hoff Studios, and our podcast mama set us up. And to be honest, I always get a little nervous when we're set up because I wonder, is this conversation going to be aligned? Is it going to be awkward? Do we have these deep, meaningful conversations to talk about? And let me just tell you, instantly, within literally a moment, we just knew this was such a connection. And she has her own podcast called Mom Curious, and she spoke a lot about motherhood, but also just about life and the new paradigm that we're entering. And I know you guys are going to connect so deeply to this conversation, whether you're a mother or not. So I hope you enjoy, and we'll see you on the other side.
There's this idea in the Vedas that one needs valid inquiry, right? Like, we can't teach someone unless they're actually inquiring.
Yes.
And there's this weird feeling on social media where it's like, I'm about to teach you about the deepest, most divine download, and who are you, and do you care, and are you going to scroll past? But with you on your Evolve, right? Like, on your membership, you've paid, you've sat down, you've turned on your computer and your video.
Yeah. No, you just said that perfectly.
Yeah.
And it's true. That's sometimes how I feel going on Instagram. It's like, okay, what am I sharing today?
I think
because if you don't share all the time, you're going into the abyss of social media.
This is also right. This is also true. I think you do a beautiful job.
Thank you.
Something, an acting tip that always worked when I was booking a lot of voiceover work was, I was doing Colgate Optic White, right? Like, who really? I mean, I love them. They paid for my student loan, but who do I really want to sell toothpaste? You have to think of one person. Yeah. When you're talking to whoever it is, that one person who cares, who is there to learn.
I love that.
Yeah, so keep that one person in your mind. You could talk to me. I want to know.
I love it.
I love what you're doing.
I love the post.
Your feng shui? Okay.
Oh, God.
I know it wasn't feng shui. I know it was
it was
Ayurveda.
It was a combo.
I was I'm going to go home now and cut off the dead leaves on all of my plants now. Why do I want deadness in my house? I don't.
That's the only time you'll see me caring for plants, as terrible as that sounds. My husband's the green thumb, and I'm just I'm an air sign. I'm floating around. I'm not here a lot.
Plants.
I'm killing the plants.
Just killing plants.
And then she came in, she was like, this has to go. I'm like, okay, get the scissor right now.
You looked like it was natural to you.
Oh no, actually. it was natural.
I love
at that point I'm like, it's gotta go.
Yeah, because it's garbage.
Yes.
Now I know it's garbage.
Yes.
I thought that was just part of the.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't. Laura does a very good job of.
I love the
landscaping.
I love it. I want you to share a little bit about you, your background, introduce yourself, and tell us. I feel like there's so much for you to share. So.
Well, I'm a manifesting generator.
Love that.
So I just have to accept the fact that I like a lot of things.
I love it.
I just have to just.
Too.
I just need to know that about myself and just keep on moving.
I love that.
The only through line, guys, in my introduction about myself is just it's me. So I am an actress. My name is Daniella Rabbani. I'm an actress by trade.
How long have you been acting?
Probably 20 years.
Okay.
Right. I'm 38, so I started acting school at NYU at 18.
Wow.
I really consider that when I really started.
Mm-hmm.
And I've become a sort of storyteller in different mediums, singing. I have a podcast now. I'm your podcast sister on, it's called Mom Curious. It's also on the Hoff Studios network. And I have devoted my life to telling stories. I sort of was born into this tradition. I was raised in a modern Orthodox Jewish home, and there were things about it that I'm like, that's dumb. I don't want to be doing that. But there are things now that I'm an adult that I realize, oh, wow, like we've been telling these stories every week, word perfect, this tune, all the time. And it has created such community, such mythology, right? And such an understanding of self. And that's what I do. That's what I get to do through stories. And now I get to hold space for other people telling their stories on my podcast. And I'm a mom. Oh, I'm a mom too. Yeah, I have 2 little kids.
Oh, how old?
They're 6 and 3. And becoming a mother was such a transformative, intense experience that I couldn't ignore that I needed to make art from it.
Wow.
Yeah. And that I needed to share what I just didn't think people were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I love on your Instagram the posts that pop out to me. I love your acting.
Thanks.
It's so fun.
Thanks.
I also love how I feel you're an advocate for children and how you're creating like this new conversation and dialogue of how we approach kids. And that's so important. And I think, as you know, I was an elementary school teacher. I always tried to do that. Yeah. Where like see them as like another human on your level. Because you're older does not mean you have more power over them. And I think those posts just spoke to me so much.
Yeah.
And I was so excited to get you here to like talk a little bit about that because it is so important.
I just think, why is it so strange and so revolutionary that we think of children as people? They're just people.
Yeah.
Like it's so weird to me. I remember like I sing in Yiddish, and I would like go to these like old folks homes, and I'd say like, oh my gosh, I love old people. And then I had a baby and I was like, I love babies. And it was like, oh no, I love people. I just love all people. That's like because they're just people, right? Like and I think and what's weird is we weren't treated as like people. We weren't treated. I remember like ordering a bagel when I was a little kid and knowing that they were ignoring me because I was a child. And I was like, I have money. I know what I want to eat. Like why aren't you paying attention to me? And it's like these are just little people, just like the rest of us. They're also the people that we're handing over our earth to.
Yes.
They're important people.
They're important people.
They're really important people.
Yeah.
And I know for myself also that those, you know, my little self still lives in me, right? Like my 5-year-old and 10-year-old. And the reason why I'm an actress is because I enjoyed being on stage when I was in middle school. Right? Like those experiences form adults. And that's not to say that like there's an end goal for raising children or teaching children like so that they'll be good adults, but that I just like to say that because like bottom line, like they're gonna be, you know, running this place. So like treat them nice. I think
it's so true. And empower them. Allow them to feel empowered. And I think just like anything else, it's sometimes people doing it the way it was done to them or how it's always been. And now we're at this time on earth where we're shaking shit up. Yeah. And we know it needs to change. And that's what's going to lead to the new earth that we're
birthing,
eagerly anticipating and in the process of creating.
Well, I look at you and, you know, how you teach from such a feminine place.
Thank you.
And it's like we didn't have mentors like you who were women, who were loving women, like wrapping their arms around us. That is the beginning of the new earth. Is the mother. And I don't mean it from like a place of like, you know, a person who gives birth to another. I think that mother energy comes from women who are birthing life of all sorts, creative projects, teaching. We didn't have that. I think our mothers did a fantastic job of like getting in the workforce and making money, and the women before them, you know, the suffragettes, and I'm grateful for them. But now we get to soften into this female experience, a more matriarchal experience that we're just now like crawling into like little babies ourselves. Right?
It's funny you say. My spiritual name is Teja Sita, and Teja is reflecting like my aura, a radiant aura, but Sita means universal mother. And there's like this whole thing about mother in my spiritual name, and I'm 34 going on 35. I'm not yet a mother.
Yeah.
And I'm late in a lot of people's minds, and I just feel exactly what you said. We met like 5 minutes ago and you're like I do feel that I'm birthing other things right now.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe one day when I'm ready, when my husband and I are ready, there will be a baby. I don't know. We'll see. But that's exactly how I feel.
Well, I've been an artist, like I said, for 20 years. And in that time, I really made baby after baby. Like my film and my podcast right now and my own self. These are like elements of creation that we love, that we give life to, that we nurture. I mean, if you're a teacher or an empath of any kind, a healer, I mean, it is the ultimate mothering. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what I see you doing, what I see a lot of women doing, whether they have children or not.
Yeah.
What I see, our producer, Laura, she is such a mother to me. She really birthed a whole project that is so dear to my heart, and continues to like nurture her and love her, and that has nothing to do with human life.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have enough humans on the planet.
Tell us, how did your podcast come to be? What inspired that? And what's the focus of it for those who don't know?
Yeah. I always wanted to be a mom, but I also like wanted to be like a famous actress. I wanted like,
I love it. Both. Why
I just
not?
wanted to be fucking famous.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was younger, I was like, I want to be famous and I want to be skinny. I want to be rich. I say, you like how I'm like when I was younger, as if it's like something I've graduated from. I go in and out of that. My sweet, sweet ego.
Love you so much.
Yeah, I also knew that I wanted to be a mom, and for whatever reason, I didn't know how to weave those two lives together. They seemed so dissonant to me, but very clear that that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
That I wanted a husband and a dog and 2 kids, maybe more. Like I knew that, but I also just wanted to be on Broadway. And so
that was your ultimate goal, Broadway?
I guess so, yeah. Or like a sitcom. Yeah. The truth is, I love storytelling of all kind. But when I was like younger, that was the only way. There wasn't like YouTube, right? There wasn't like, even social media is like, some days I love it, some days I hate it, but there is an outlet. If I want a show starring myself, I could film it on my iPhone and I could do it.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that outlet. Like, when I was going to like acting school, it was about one woman shows and cabarets. Like I'm old. I'm not really old, but it feels old now, looking back. So I wanted to have a talk show and have people on and telling me, basically mentoring me on how to do it. That sort of fell away after a while. I was working. I've done TV and film and theater, and I've had babies, and I've found my way somehow. But there was always a part of me that was like, why aren't we telling women, what our options are? Mm-hmm. That like, in fact, Erica is not, late, right? That's what you called it, late. That there are many, many, many options. There are different ways of being a mother. A, that we don't necessarily need to be a mother to a human being, but B, that there are so many different paths. And I learned that through my own community. I just wanted to share it because I think there's a lot of heartache that happens with women when we're like kept in the dark.
Yeah.
So I get to sit down with, I'll sit down with my first man. He's actually going to come in drag this week, but for the past, I don't know, 80 episodes, it's been woman after woman with wildly different life experience as a sort of Rolodex for our sisters to know that, like, if you don't want to have babies and you want to like get your tubes tied in your 30s, in your early 30s, here's one person who can tell you exactly what it's like, or egg freezing, or non-binary parenting. And there are so many different ways to be a human being, you know?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to offer, I don't know, a community. I think storytelling and like a heart to heart to the listener is powerful, and it has been.
It's so wonderful. Just creating a space that is inclusive for anyone that and what they're going through.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so special. And I think part of the reason, well, many reasons, but one thing, when I think of becoming a mother, it's scary to me.
Yes.
Because of the first heart opening that occurs. Talk about a transformation, as you said, just like the biggest, largest transformation. I would think, I don't know, this is all, I guess my anticipated fears, but.
And truths.
Yes.
You've seen it.
Like
You've seen it with your own eyes.
Biggest shift of your life.
Yeah.
And
this is real.
Yes. And I could see it just being something like you don't know until you know. And I think of myself very much as an observer and an old soul. Like I remember being in high school and my friends complaining about school, and I would be like, we're only going to be here for a short time. We need to enjoy it. Like one day we're not going to be here and we're going to wish we were here. So like
and no one told you that?
Like, no.
Oh my God, you just knew it?
Yeah, I just knew.
God, that's
and
amazing.
I feel like I've had that insight, and I almost feel like with parenting, as much as I'm not a mother, I could feel the magnitude of it, and it scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
It's so huge.
Yeah,
like,
it is so fucking huge. It really is. And my friend who's my breathwork teacher, who certified me in breathwork actually, she also held off, because I think when you're like honest with yourself and you're like, and you have this deep practice, you know that you're not making it up, that like you see with your plain eyes, like that is a huge undertaking. Like, Mom, don't sugarcoat this and tell me, oh, it's fine. You just have a baby and it all works out. Like, don't, like, I have eyeballs.
Yeah.
Like,
awareness is real.
Like, I also know what I really want. That's the other thing. Like, when you have a deep practice the way you do with meditation and the rest, it's like you have a real understanding of what you really want.
Yeah.
And at some point, there's a realization in people who are in touch. My breathwork teacher just did have a baby, where all of a sudden it goes, whoa, I really want that.
Yeah.
Because his soul wants to come here through you.
I love that. Yeah. So you felt for your breathwork teacher, it was like a quick realization?
Oh my God. It was like, she was like, no. Oh,
okay. I'm the type of person, it needs to be like a full body
yes.
effing yeah.
Yes.
And I just am not someone that can like half-ass or be like, let's just see how I need to be like,
you can't fake
this.
Of course you need
about
to be like,
anything,
yes.
So especially this.
Bringing life into the world?
Yeah.
Come on. I think there's also like, what happens to some people, and this is what happened to me, like I had a miscarriage very early on. It just sort of, I mean, I'm going to go there. It just sort of looked like a chunky period, okay? Yeah, and it didn't hurt. For me, it was okay. And there are people who I know and who I've interviewed who have had really, really hard times with miscarriages. And for me, I just didn't want a child. So I didn't connect to that child, even though I was pregnant. But after that, I don't know if it's biology. I don't know if it was that soul coming right back and saying like, no, we got to get here. I don't think it was the same soul. If I'm being honest, I think Ness, my son, he came on his own volition. But this does happen where people lose a pregnancy and all of a sudden, boom, it's like I need to be pregnant tomorrow.
Interesting.
But it does feel like a full body yes. It has to. I mean, there are people who are, unfortunately, and we don't need to get into the politics of a woman's right to choose, but there are people who don't have a choice and do get pregnant and have a baby. But we are lucky enough, privileged enough not to be those people, and it is something that we should consider, the timing, the way.
And I also totally respect the people who maybe weren't ready for it and they didn't have a full body yes, but were on the journey and experienced it, and then it turned into that miracle and exactly what they needed. So I respect all paths there.
Yeah, me too.
Just for me personally, I'm a Libra, a little indecisive, and for something so big, I'm ready for the whoa, yes.
It has to be.
It's gotta be. Yeah.
It just has to be. And there are so many choices, I think. The idea of us being late. I was 33 when I had my first and 35 when I had my second. And it's so funny. Like, they call you like a geriatric pregnancy at 35. I was not a geriatric pregnancy because I was pregnant when I was 34.
Okay.
I delivered when I was 35 and 1 day.
Oh, wow.
And by then and on my last day of my pregnancy, I was geriatric, which is ridiculous. I mean, this is crazy.
I would hope that it is.
This is crazy. This is like not a real thing.
Yeah.
This is the old paradigm.
Yeah.
Right?
Old
So
program.
so this is like, you know, how we were talking about, like, here you are, the guru, right? The mentor, the mother, the holder of space as a woman. You know, for a long time, people were so afraid of that power, what it means to be a woman who holds space, who has her sovereignty. And I think one of the ways that we were, you know, sort of brainwashed into being afraid of our mortality, afraid of our fertility, was by saying you're old, you're late, you know, you're and that this is your only gift to the world. Those are all lies. Those are all old programming lies that didn't serve women for sure and didn't serve the world. So we've graduated.
Yes.
We fucking graduated. Yes. It's over.
It's so fun to live through these enormous shifts that are taking place on the planet. Like, it's amazing to be here for it, as much as it's a lot for our nervous systems, and that's why we need all these practices. It's cool. It's really cool to be here for it.
Can I ask you, actually, like, what is this big shift? What the fuck is going on here?
There's a lot.
I feel it, but I don't know. I was listening to this Zach Bush podcast.
I love him.
Big into him.
Oh my gosh.
Big.
Which one?
He was on the Deja Blue podcast.
I don't know that one.
It's great. It's great.
I love him. His voice is unbelievable.
Yeah, he's really special. And he was saying, like, I don't know, that the next 10 years are some big up level and shift in the cosmos. And I'm like, that sounds great. Can I get sources? I just want to know, what are we talking about?
Every astrologer right now, well, a really big thing that they've been talking about is the shift from Saturn into Pisces, which is helping us to shift into, like, activating our spirituality and turning on our spiritual gifts, psychic abilities, and beyond. So it's like time for people. I see it as like that next awakening. I feel like 2020 woke a lot of us up spiritually. We then had the time for a practice, or we just needed meditation to survive through those days. And I see this as like the next layer. I actually just spoke about this in another episode I recorded. And now we also have Pluto moving into Aquarius, which is another really, really big one. So Pluto was in Capricorn, and that had a lot to do with like the systems and how we see like a lot of systems shifting and changing. And now it's moving into Aquarius. And have you heard of the Age of Aquarius?
Age of Aquarius.
So it's like this hopefully new earth. I mean, I'm very hopeful and I see it and I feel it. I already see evidence of us living it, but it's this way of really coming together in unity and that like oneness.
Yeah.
And seeing ourselves as this one consciousness together, how we all impact one another, and just more community, taking care of one another and things shifting. So that's a little bit from what I know. But if you follow any I'm not an astrologer, but if you follow any astrologers, they are talking about like massive shifts happening, and I feel it.
I
really feel it.
You were just saying about the psychic ability. It's so interesting. I've always been very intuitive. I think art is a channeling from God. Singing for sure for me has been that way. But in my recent meditations, I'm like jamming with old people. Not old people, dead people.
Really?
Like my ancestors. My grandmother came to me. She died like 3.5 years ago. She came to me recently and she was like, Daniella, I'm so proud of you. She put her hands on me.
How beautiful.
She's so proud of me. And this is a woman who didn't say that when she was alive. I mean, she did in her way, but this was clear. And she was like, get glamorous.
I love it.
Oh my God.
What does that mean for you?
Well, she was a Holocaust survivor.
Wow.
And for whatever reason, she knew something that I am still learning, which is that life is to be enjoyed, that her beauty was to be enjoyed. She like died with a pink lip on at 96. And, I'm like a very casual person. I was just telling you about my nails. Like I enjoy like, just like being imperfect and enjoying other people's imperfections. And, she was just like beautiful until the day she died, and really enjoyed her beauty and flirtation and glamour and pearls. She was a pearl stringer. So in my breathwork meditations and my other practices, I've been so connected to my ancestors, Jewish, but also women and artists and comedians and singers.
Wow.
It's like great. And this is new.
This is
new. Like I think art in and of itself is a spiritual experience, but like, are we talking about that? Is that what's happening to other people too? Am I not alone?
I honestly feel like that's definitely part of it, because Pisces is that sign of like psychic abilities and that other realm, connecting us to the other realm. But it shows up for everyone differently. Like something that's been coming up for me a lot is telepathy.
Oh my
where
God.
Like I'm literally communicating with people without talking. And they'll end up saying what I was thinking with them or towards them, or an idea, and it just comes out. I practice with a few people every Wednesday morning, and after our practice, we're singing and chanting in a salt cave for about an hour. And after, if one of us says like, wow, this came to me, at least two others are like, I had the same thought. And it's like this collective energy, and that we're all part of universal consciousness. And people sometimes think like this goes into, like stealing ideas, or like, oh, she stole that from me. It's like, actually, no. Have you ever read Big Magic?
No.
So Elizabeth Gilbert,
yes.
She talks about that too. It's kind of like this iCloud almost, where like things drop in and multiple people receive it.
That's right.
And then one takes it and builds it, creates it, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it's a cool concept. But I want to get back to your practice. So I want to hear about how you feel singing is like a channel for you.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Tell me more about that.
I just want to say that I have a meditation teacher who would advise us to, like, if you get a download in the middle of the night, to like up and like write it down, because someone else is gonna get it, and if you don't act on it, that's totally your free will. But like I'm just saying.
Yep. Absolutely.
But the downloads come when the downloads come. Yeah. And if you want it, you better take it.
Otherwise it goes to someone else.
It has to.
Because that idea might have to be birthed into this world.
That's how, that, and it goes back to the idea of what I was saying with children. You know, like if there's a life that needs to get here,
Yes,
it's going to get
yes.
here. I remember one of my voice teachers was also, most of the teachers that I've had in my like acting training are deeply spiritual. I don't know if they would talk about God necessarily, but art as a sort of spiritual entity. She would say that, she told me the story that like there was a baby knocking on her door and she turned to the baby and said, no. And like that was that. And we have that idea, like we have that free will to say that to ideas and to all creation that wants to be birthed through us. We have that sovereignty, but we are like being asked all the time, can I be birthed through you? Do you wanna, how is my idea? Are you my mommy? And not, and I really mean that in like in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
You know, as a sort of metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about singing.
Yeah.
You asked me about singing. I sing in Yiddish, which is a funny thing.
Do you speak Yiddish?
I got a scholarship to study Yiddish after my actor training because Stella Adler, where I studied, Stella was Marlon Brando's teacher and a bunch of other really, really fabulous actors. She was the daughter of the Yiddish theater. She was sort of raised on the Yiddish stage, which was on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. It's also where Hollywood was, you know, born from. And her grandson, like, directed me in a Shakespeare play, and he's like, "Oh my God, you remind me of my family. Do you want to learn Yiddish to, you know, carry on this legacy?" It's a dying language, they would call it, but it's the ancient sort of Jewish language of Eastern Europe, and I had never spoke it before, and it poured out of me.
Wow, I have chills.
Wow. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it felt like, and there are still times where I'm like, I don't want it. It's too, it can be heavy, but it also can be super glorious, and the poetry is amazing. But sometimes I just want to be like a regular actress, you know? I just want to talk like I want to talk English.
Yeah.
But it really, like, hundreds of songs came through me.
Wow.
And when I stand on stage, more than ever, by the way, and maybe this is the time we're living in, but more than ever, I see my ancestors. I see them, and I see them
while you're performing.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, I see the actual crowd.
Yes, of course. Wow.
But I see them like, you know, just enjoying my joy. And that's what I really believe that all of our ancestors of all stripes, you know, all the women, all the witches, all the Jews, all the mothers and the comedians and the singers, like, they are so joyful in our joy. This is why I think this is why they come to me. They're having a good time up there. They come back to just tap into how lucky we all are to be on this plane, to be alive.
So true. I think about it a lot, how we look back at past generations and like our parents or our grandparents, and we see the things that like we would just do differently.
Yeah.
Or the ways they chose to live, or just how their nervous system was wired. And sometimes we look at that as like a fault on them and we want to do it differently. But really what I've come to learn is they actually live that way so that we can now be in the space that we are to have joy and to see life as such a gift, because it wasn't seen that way by a lot. It was seen as hard and it was from hard. Jewish descent. Like, think of all the struggle.
Yeah.
And beyond that, you know, but they struggled so that we can now free ourselves and free the lineage and be able to heal the generations before us through joy, through singing, through chanting, through meditation, through breath work. Yeah, that's such a beautiful message you receive.
Oh, thanks. I see that in you so much. And I really appreciate you saying that, because I think for a lot of us who have been in therapy and in yoga and in meditation and in breath work and in Reiki and all the amazing tools that we do have in our toolbox, we can often look at our parents and our grandparents and say, oh my gosh, they really messed up here and they really messed up there. And I think there can be value in that for sure.
Yeah.
But it's really nice to witness someone who's maybe flagged those moments and also said, wow, and I get to be in bliss.
Yeah.
I get to be with you. I get in this studio. Like, this gets to be my job.
Yeah. And that's a whole other, rewriting what a job looks like and how we choose to quote unquote work and put our energy, because again, the people who have come before us have a very different idea of that. My parents are still very confused what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. But
you're doing it.
It's part of the new paradigm.
You're doing it beautifully.
Thank you. How did you find your way to breathwork and meditation?
My meditation teacher, Emily Fletcher, she teaches Ziva meditation. She was a Broadway actress. So she was already part of the community.
Okay.
And I actually was a part of this like sort of mastermind group with a career coach. And she brought her in as a guest speaker. And it was sort of a means to an end, a way to, if I meditate more, I'll book more jobs. And the truth is that did happen.
Yeah.
If I meditate more, I'll make more money. And the truth is that did happen. But the more I delved into the work, the more downloads I got. Mm-hmm. My film came through me. And also a lot of deep, deep healing. Yeah. So much sleep. And so much rest and so much peace. But I originally started meditating because they said it was good for high performers. And I was like, I want to be that.
Yeah. I love how we go into some of these things that are meant to find us with just one goal. And we think like, wow, if we just get this, that's all that we need.
Yeah.
And then with meditation and breath work, it's like, that was just the tip of the iceberg.
I know.
It's like, holy crap, we open the floodgates.
It's total floodgates. It's like ancestors and grandma's putting your hands on you and she's real proud. Like, I didn't want that. I just wanted to be on TV. I just wanted to lose a little bit of weight. I mean, now I'm okay. I'm like down for it. I mean, it's totally fun. It's like pretty cool to get high without drugs or alcohol or on your actual breath.
Yeah.
How fucking cool is that?
Yeah.
But I definitely was just thinking about like numbers, and those numbers were on the scale and they were in my bank account.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they were on like my IMDb ranking, like that's what I was thinking about. But I think that's like the sweetness of youth.
Yeah, totally.
Great. Whatever gets you there.
Totally.
That's what I say.
Right. And how has that transformed now? Where is most of your focus
in my spiritual practice?
Well, the focus was on numbers then.
Oh.
And now how has that transformed for you?
I really do want to be a great mother. Like, not a good mother. I want to be a great mother. And I keep redefining what that means, because a great mother sometimes loses her shit.
Yeah.
No matter how many times she fucking does breath work or meditation, she's gonna lose it.
Yeah.
Because she's still a person.
Yep.
I still live on this 3D realm. I'm like in a body.
Yep.
That's gonna happen. But I like you said, it's such a monumental undertaking that I don't take lightly. I don't think it's easy. It's not intuitive for me. For me, I don't like a lot of noise or mess. I need a lot of space. And like, I love kids, but like, I think there's no exit. There's no quitting this job, this motherhood thing. Yeah. And I think for me, when it comes to like my spiritual growth, my healing, I want to get wholer and holier, so that they don't have to hold on to any of my stuff.
Yeah.
They don't need that.
Chills again.
They got a whole world they're gonna adopt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think we like what our parents didn't know was that anything that they didn't metabolize was our inheritance. They didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were busy working. I mean, they were literally busy putting food on our table. So, I mean, I have no beef.
Yeah.
But I get to heal parts of me that would otherwise be their fucking problem. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I get to be an advocate for women and for Jewish people and for mothers, just by being myself.
Yeah. And for children.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate you saying that. They need advocates.
Yeah. That's so beautiful. And it's so powerful and true that I'm sure you've heard, healed people help to heal other people, and hurt people end up hurting other people, whether it's intentional or not. And it's a luxury and a privilege to have the awareness and the consciousness we do today. Yeah. And it's definitely not taken lightly, and I do not take it for granted. I feel so grateful to have the consciousness and awareness and the time and the space to do the work. Yeah. And we're doing it, like I said earlier, for the generations before us too.
And we're doing it for ourselves.
After. Yeah.
You know, I think sometimes I forget, my sign is Virgo.
I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, I'm a Virgo. I know more about human design, oddly enough, than I do astrology. But I do know that Virgos are, service-oriented people, which is great. But I can forget myself. Yeah. And I think I constantly have to remind myself that it is not selfish to take care of myself. That actually that's how I, keep my sphere or energetic field intact, so it's not spilling onto you. Yep. It's not your problem. It's not Ashley's problem. She's so cute over there. I love her. Leave her alone.
It is so true. And I feel like that's part of the iceberg. We didn't know that this would be such a reward or benefit from practice and work, but it is.
And it's a little I was gonna say addictive, but it's once you
I quit my job to do this all day.
I know. Thank God for your job. I really do thank you for your job. Because here you are addicting people to breath, to air, to I was gonna say H2O. That's not it. It's just O2. See, it's even more. Yeah, it's even more distilled than that. It's just the O2.
Yeah,
it's the OG.
Yeah,
right. So it's ours. It's free. Mm-hmm. It's available at any time.
Yeah. Yep.
That's so true. All those. It's funny. It's all those ancestors, all those dead people, if they could only just breathe this air. Mm-hmm. I know sometimes we say it's pollution or whatever the fuck. It's oh my gosh, if they could breathe this air, how lucky are we get to be alive, to enjoy breathing.
Yep. And using that to access, to clear, to heal, and access all of ourselves.
We're the luckiest.
I know. I feel so lucky to have had you here.
Oh my God, I feel so lucky to be here.
Thanks so much. I want to ask you one last question.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you would like to share with mothers or someone that just become a mother? I don't know. You interview so many people on this topic. Is there one thing you want to leave the listeners with?
No one's going to do it your way but you. And if I could remind my younger self and whoever is, listening, who listens to Erica's podcast, keep listening to Erica's podcast. Keep breathing, keep meditating, keep yourself intact because you matter. Mm-hmm. I think we forget matter, mother, matter. We were, someone's baby once too. And I think mothers do forget that all of these practices, they need to be adjusted. They need to be accommodated for, certainly when you're busier or when you do have more responsibilities. But they are important. And you are important.
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
thank you. Where can everyone find you and where can they tune into your podcast? Because I know they're probably like, I need to listen right now.
Well, the podcast is on all podcast platforms. It's called Mom Curious. And I live mostly on DaniellaRabbani.com and at Daniella Rabbani on Instagram. Do you do TikTok? A little?
Kind of.
Okay.
It's just like I can't manage all of this.
I mean, come on. We need to hire more help.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like on TikTok, so if you see me there, like give me a
I'm
holler
going on
and a
TikTok to
shout.
watch you there.
Yeah, I mean, but mostly on Instagram. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the work you do.
Thank you.
Really, really,
Thank you for the work you do.
Thanks.
And thank you
pleasure.
for being here today.
Thank
you.
Listeners,
thank you. Thank you for coming back each time and connecting with. I just feel so grateful to do this and to connect and have these very meaningful and deep conversations with other light workers and spiritual beings. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. So thank you guys for being here and for listening in. I hope you enjoyed the conversation with Daniella as much as I did. Be sure to check her out if you're guided to on Instagram or even her podcast. And I hope you walk away with something that you can just take with you, any insight from her perspective or my perspective. So thank you for being here, and I hope to see you next time.